When I interviewed my guest today for our Talking Tech show, I was struck by how much of what he did and thought really qualified him and his company as being a conscious business. He's the CEO of Ease, an innovative mobile platform that helps manufacturers simplify how they administer, conduct, and respond to plant floor audit and processes. So let's go to sunny California and say hello again to Eric Stoop. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Malcolm. It's nice to be here again.
I'd lovely to talk to you. Yes. Eric, last time we chatted, you said that consciousness was a key part of your thinking at Ease. Tell us the how and the where and the why.
Yeah, well, I think part of our mandate for our customers is around integrity and accountability, and I think that carries into things like quality of production, but it also carries into quality of management and how we treat each other. So we consider ourselves a very people-oriented business. For being a technology company, our product and our process really brings people together face to face, and brings the layers of an organization together. So we do a thing called layered process audits, and the layers are really the management layers between the plant manager and sort of a middle manager, and then maybe a line manager. And the design is to connect the dots between those. And so it's a very intentional process to get them talking about how we can be better together, not only in producing better products, but how we can be better together as a community on a plant floor. As you might imagine, a plant floor has a very specific culture to it. And I think I read somewhere, if you don't design your culture, you'll get a culture one way or the other. But if you don't consciously choose the culture you want for your plant floor, you don't know what you're going to get. You get something less desirable, something toxic. So.
Yeah, and especially in these changing times as well at the moment. And I like exactly what you're saying, connecting the dots. That's good communication. Now, a conscious leader is not only aware and knows his or her responsibilities, but is understanding of the purpose of their business. How at ease do you see your purpose, and how do you know when you're achieving it?
Well, I think interestingly here, we have about 30 people here in Michigan, and they have another 20 or 25 scattered, and many of them in Europe, and then we have a few people in London. So I think connecting those dots between how we behave and how we treat each other, it takes some extra effort in these times. I mean, you don't have the place to meet up and see each other. You're on Zoom all the time. And so we do some things that we try very hard to be very direct and clear about what our expectations are. But also, for instance, we sell typically to a quality manager and operations manager at a plant. And if we're dealing in quality, we know that one of our primary mandates for the product is quality. And we talk all about that we have to sort of, live what we're selling. And that is always at the top of our conversation. And that conversation around quality, whether that's, reliability of the software or, our interactions with each other, in some level of professionalism, or always a level of professionalism, I should say. That is a conscious decision for us to do that.
I really like that, because I think there's some evidence that people are using the pandemic to excuse a lack of quality.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think there was a phase where the novelty of everybody being remote, and certainly people can be effective remote, I think, but the novelty of being remote was fine. And then I think there's a reality check of this is not as easy as I think. I've got things going on in my house, where I've got a less than ideal workspace. I've got, I've got like my house. I've got this construction going on next door, and it's a constant kind of in the background. And them dumping dumpsters over, things like that. It's like, okay, there are things that aren't ideal, and that doesn't even consider the sort of face-to-face time that you really miss out on. I mean, I'm a very people-focused person, and so I we don't have an office. I don't have an office myself, and we're kind of an open floor environment, and people can come up and talk. And I think that breeds all sorts of relationship benefits that are, how should I say, not tangible, not immediately tangible, right? So
Yeah.
being remote, there is I think an eventual downside to losing that ability to interact on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I applaud you just even recognizing that. Now, let's go back to your customers. People, employees, they all play an important part in the delivery of a truly conscious business. So how does ease help your customers, your leaders' customers in this delivery?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question for what we do, and to sort of put it in. Typically, we're coming in and helping somebody that is using a pencil and paper to do a checklist, some kind of checklist on the floor, whether it's safety or a 5S or something like that. And I mean, I would say almost without exception, everybody wants to do a good job. I mean, you're in a position, you want to do a good job, but there's opportunities to take shortcuts. When there's opportunities to take shortcuts, it's a question of prioritization. What am I prioritizing? Am I prioritizing the integrity of what I'm doing right now, or am I prioritizing that I need to get to that next thing as quickly as possible? So I'm going to compromise that. And what we've sort of built into our product, which is it's a mobile-based audit system, is a level of integrity that you really can't dodge. I mean, I can't sit at a desk and do my checklist, check. When I'm on a mobile device, I know if you did it on the plant floor, I know how long you took to do it. So if you only take 2 minutes to do an audit that normally takes 12 minutes, I know that maybe it's not the same level of integrity. I can do things like ask them to, hey, if randomly say, can you take a picture of the condition of the work site or the cell? And I can do that, and some people feel like, oh, is that big brother, holding me accountable. But for the most part, because everybody has that sense of, I want to do a good job. I want to. They get the process, they get what's behind it, but it's a little bit of a push, right,
Mm-hmm.
to sort of stay on track and be deliberate about going down there, having a conversation, and doing it in the right spot and following it through. Well, typically our audits aren't that, they're not long involved all day things. These are typically people who are operators or doing something on the plant floor who are doing this for 10 or 15 minutes a day. So it's not a long ask, but making sure that they're following through, that builds confidence all the way up to the top, that I'm getting the real picture of what's going on. And I think that is a game changer from a conscious, at every level, all the way down to the lowest level.
Yeah.
I've got, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right. And once I'm into it, I'm like, this is the right thing to do. And it sort of self perpetuates, right? I mean, we come into a, more integrity leads to better integrity. More integrity leads to more. We just kind of keep raising that game a little bit.
Yeah, excellent. Builds upon a build. And I love that expression you just said as well about the leaders then gaining confidence about what's going on. Now, our concept of the conscious business includes truly embedding aspects of compliance, such as environmental care, health and safety, whistleblowing. I'm talking about really embedding these compliance and legislation, not just plain lip service to them or randomly posting them on a notice board. So how does ease help deliver such a goal and say then report on these matters to investors and influencers?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a bigger challenge for us. We run this program called Champions for Quality, which we have nominations throughout our customers and non-customers as well, that provide us insights into, hey, what changed did you institute, and whether it involves the product or not. We're not really particular about that. Certainly, if they're using the product, that's even better. But so we try to recognize that, and we do these awards. Even in COVID, I think we're just actually releasing the Champions for Quality awards in the next few weeks. And we get all sorts of stories from our customers and otherwise about change on the plant floor in the plant environment. We're actually introducing, or planning to introduce. Sometimes we don't know the particulars of this. something similar along the lines related to diversity and leadership in providing opportunities to whether it's people of color or women, and as you know, manufacturing has a it's predominantly male environment. So we're leaning towards introducing a second, opposite our Champions for Quality, but which is really around Champions for Diversity in manufacturing. And I think certainly the environment is. I think for the most part, most of our customers are very aware from the environmental perspective, and certainly from the safety perspective. And if you think about whistleblowing, I mean the whole design of the product is, hey, there's something wrong, and we need to we need to alert management. And part of this integrity, building that integrity, is hopefully avoiding the situation before it even becomes to the point where it's something that requires a true investigation or something like that. But that does happen. So I think the product lends itself to that. And then from a company perspective, we are taking this this point of view around leaders making a difference, whether it's in quality or in diversity.
Yeah, I love that, Champions of Diversity. We have to get you back when you're ready for that launch of that.
Yeah,
got to tell the world about that one. Look, productivity is obviously a big goal that leaders demand from plants, and in the continuing tough, uncertain times, we face such productivity. It could come under pressure. How does ease monitor productivity and performance?
Well, yeah, that is often the key challenge our customer is facing. As you'd imagine, there is always a tension between quality and productivity, and oftentimes quality is seen as a inhibitor of productivity. If I've got to take this time to make sure everybody's doing it right, I'm going to slow things down. And I think there's always some truth in that, except for when there are problems and it turns out that I've got an entire day's production is going to have to be scrapped because we didn't follow the process. So all of a sudden, productivity feels like it takes a big hit, as you might imagine. So. But I think that is a tightrope that is constantly, we constantly see our customers walk. Certainly in the software business, that is always the challenge of I'm trying to release features that benefit my customers to enhance the product. I'm trying to release that at a pace that is beneficial to sales or our customers. But at the same time, that introduces instability into the product and risk that the product could, we could have bugs or mistakes that occur in the product. And again, as I told you, that's one of our top three goals with the product is producing a quality product. But that tension is constant, and I constantly listen to sales and customer support wanting more, and I have product development saying, hey, we need to do this right, and we need to test, and we need to do all these other things. And I think if you don't feel that tension, then you're probably not doing it right. I mean, I think tension is healthy between you because you have to kind of like moderate constantly. So.
Excellent. Yeah. Now, I believe that one of the causes of a lack of cohesion between employees and leaders is a lack of communication. Now, that may be caused by a lack of reliable information. Can ease be the catalyst to overcoming this lack of communication? And if so, how?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I know for sure because we hear this from our customers. Our product is a platform for a type of audit, this layered process audit, which is in many ways like a structured Gemba walk on the plant floor. And as you might, Gemba walks are this connection between the plant management and the floor to really go down and see what's actually happening on the floor. It's meant to be unstructured. And our product is more structured. But what does happen is you have conversations. We like to, instead of an audit, it's actually a conversation between management and down on the operator down on the plant floor. And without question, our customers that get involved in this come to say, wow, we are now, my operators are so much happier because they see the plant manager down on the floor asking them questions, interacting with them. They say, wow, they actually get it. They actually care about how I'm doing this. And then you hear from the other side, wow, I didn't realize that we communicated so poorly, or that they didn't know what was going on. I think that our product is uniquely positioned to sort of facilitate that in a way that is repeatable and reliable, and it really is a game changer. I struggle. We have these conversations about management doesn't communicate well, and I think without a doubt there's a universal perspective that more often than not, management doesn't always have the answers, right? So if I don't have the answers, there's a lot of times I'm struggling to figure out the answer to a problem, and the general community of the whether it's a plant or a software development shop, it feels like, wow, they're just not telling us. And the reality is, no, they just don't know the answer, and they're trying to figure it out. And I think that's a gap that you can't ever close. That's just always I think us them, a little bit of an us them between the two layers. But
yeah, I got you. Eric, I really am chuffed that you've kindly come back onto BBTV. So what I'd like to give you is your own pitch time. What would you say to leaders who around the world are now starting to realize their way forward, and many, many of them are now, is to become a conscious business? How can ease help them, and why do they need it? Over to you for your pitch.
Well, I think I think the difference between not interacting with my community, and between and getting down on the floor and actually interacting. I think there is, we sometimes call it the upstairs office to the downstairs plant floor, and I believe that eliminating those barriers is key, whether it's a manufacturing environment or or another organization. I would say that moving the upstairs office, and getting the upstairs office down on the floor where they're where people are getting their hands dirty is always going to benefit the organization in ways that are intangible, and maybe certainly at some point measurable, but that would be my challenges of eliminating those barriers and bringing people from the the upstairs office down to that plant floor environment.
Excellent. Yeah. I've been into many places and gone up the stairs, and you're sort of looking down and you're feeling a disconnect. Yeah. Eric, I like to give all my guests 3 wishes. If I was to give you 3 wishes as to how manufacturers could improve their consciousness, what would those 3 wishes be?
Well, I think my one of our very current topics is diversity, and we are in conversations with we here in the States. We have the National Association of Manufacturers. They have a women in manufacturing mandate, and we've been talking to them about sort of a broader perspective of diversity there. So I think my wish is that we find a way to improve ourselves in that regard. I think that also the second phase of that is really around what we would what we often refer to as STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And in the States here, there's definitely been a gap, and the prioritization of that is, I think, very important. So I guess my second wish would be that we find a way to raise the stakes there in schools and in universities, and get a broader group of people involved there. I think manufacturing is hitting a renaissance here in the States, and so I think we're doing some of that. And I think the third wish is that ease continues to be a catalyst for change in the plant floor environment, and a catalyst for getting people to talk to each other. I think relationships are tough in this environment. Face-to-face relationships are rare, more rare than they've ever been. And so I think us being a catalyst is, I think, a noble cause for us, and something that we take pride in. And so I think I would wish us great success in continuing to do that.
What great 3 wishes, Eric. And I hope viewers and listeners that you've taken note of the URL, Eric's URL behind me, and get in touch with Ease, because he's given a great example of how, excuse the pun, they can ease your way into being a conscious business. Thanks, Eric. Thoroughly enjoyed meeting you again. Thank you for the great interview.
It was great to be here, Malcolm. Really, really appreciate it. Love our conversations.